It's a whole lot of us, that's my family. Wanna go higher, turn up the tempo, increase the BPM, okay. Increase the BPM. Increase the BPM. Increase the BPM. Increase the BPM.
What's up, guys? Welcome to our weekly podcast, In the Huddle, where we ask people into this huddle, into this space to talk about what God has done, what he's doing, and what he will continue to do. I'm super excited to have my guy, Darien Sanders, in here with us today. Darien, thank you for joining us.
Man, thanks for having me, my guy.
Okay, I'm started thinking about how I am going to introduce you. Now, there's a lot of people that do a lot of things, but when they do a lot of things, sometimes the product drops. Man, you have been blessed to do a lot of things and your product never dips. You're a singer. You are a performer. You're a songwriter. You're a speaker. You're all these different things, and yet your product doesn't change. And that's a huge compliment to how you do things. You do things with excellence. So, man, I'm excited about diving into your life and getting people to know you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it, truly.
All right, so you grew up in Lexington, Kentucky. A lot of people, man, they can pull certain things up that we'll get to here in a minute, where they can Google you. And but man, I just want to kind of peek behind the curtain a little bit and get some people some information on Darien Sanders. Now, you grew up in Lexington, Kentucky.
Yeah, born and raised. Yeah, I lived there my whole life, and then I've been in Louisville the past 8 years.
Okay, so tell me what it was like growing up in. I know you come from a big family. So let us know what it was like growing up in your home.
Yeah, man. I one of 8. They call me the knee baby. So I was the baby for 7 years. I was number 6. Then twins came after me. And so I grew up in a Christian household. So my mom, I laugh because I walk through the different denominations that people have and the different upbringings. But my mom was Church of God and my dad was Southern Baptist. So we kind of lived in this duality of, yes, it was a believing home. Yes, it was a Christian home. But my mother's was a little bit more legalistic or just by the book. And my dad was very liberal and very open-ended. So it wasn't specifically this, but I tell people it's super, super rule-driven on one end, and then once saved, always saved on the other side. And so kind of fitting in that mold of, is mom around? Is dad around? What does that look like? Yeah. Having older siblings. And so walking to see and watching how they lived and how they got in trouble or how they succeeded was kind of informative about what I did and how I did things.
Tell me some blessings about coming in a I'm sure that there's some
it's struggles.
You
say it. You can say it.
But when you have built-in friends, and you also have built-in competition, and you have built-in fights, and you have built-in arguments. What was that like, just the dynamic of being one of 8 children?
Yeah, I think it shaped me and formed me into who I am. I would say I'm an extrovert. God has wired me that way. And so having a big family exemplified and multiplied that. So I loved it. I was all about it. I know some people come from big families and they're, man, I wish I didn't have as many kids. And I've got one, and Titus is always like, man, can I have a sibling? Like, what does it look like to be an only child? I don't know that life. And my wife had that life, but I didn't. So I thrived on that aspect. You're right. It was built-in friends, built-in playmates, built-in entertainment. I remember there were mornings that we woke up, and Saturday mornings we woke up and we were watching TV, and we were doing dance moves together, or we would play games together. I loved it because all of my siblings were musical and athletic. So whether we were going to a band concert or whether I was going to a basketball game, there was always an activity to do because somebody was doing something. So I love that fast pace in life. I think that has helped me and shaped me into, as an adult, doing so many things and being able to kind of move and shake. I think that kind of was informative of that too.
Yeah. Coming from a family, I have 3 brothers, and I'm one of 3, excuse me. And so there was constant competition. And when you say competing in sports or music or this and that, what was that like? What was the sports and you say singing and competing and doing those things? What did it look like in your home? What you're involved with?
Because I was the baby, I don't know that I had as much pressure as everybody else. So it was always like, I remember walking to the park with my brother to play basketball, and he was phenomenal. And I would not be as great as him. So he would always have me on his team, and he would always have to carry me in other ways. But he would always be madly encouraging when we were on the court, and then smack me around once we left. Like, dude, you did this. Or like he would pick up the slack for me on the court because I would always be guarding the weakest person, but he would always help out on defense, stuff like that. And so those kind of things I remember of the encouragement aspect. I also remember just the fun that we would have in terms of, man, when we would sit there and start to dance and start to sing, just the encouragement that we would have for one another and bring that on. But the competitive aspect, I didn't really feel a whole weight of. I know that because I had, five older siblings, when we walked into the music world, they were all in band before me. So when I got to school or when I got to my next grade, there was a name that I had to almost live up to. It was like, oh, you're a Sanders kid. Oh, you're a Sanders kid. My mom was a third grade teacher for, 27 years, and she taught in the same class, and everybody, went through her, and they were like, oh, you're Miss Sanders' son. Like, oh, I had her in third grade. She's my favorite teacher. So there was this expectation of having to live up to. And so I find myself always in the spotlight of that, but then also wanting to forge a name for myself and make my own path.
Yeah. You mentioned the spotlight, and some people are thrusted into the spotlight, and some people see the spotlight and they know that they have a gift. You've been given an incredible gift. I've often said jokingly, but I'm halfway serious, that if I had a voice like you, everything would be a song. I would sing this podcast. But at what age did you feel like, okay, God has given me, he's gifted me with something. Now, and you work and you train and you develop the gift that he's given you. But at what part and what did that look like when you realized, okay, I've been given a gift?
Man, that's a loaded question because it's shifted in so many different seasons in my life. You're right. I was always thrust into the light from being a Sanders kid. So was always put in leadership positions because all of my siblings excelled in what they did. And then having just the family persona that we did, it was always this respect thing that people gave our family. And so because of that, like I was always, in some form of shape leadership position. And so with, I would say with that came, dang it. Let me figure out how to say this. Sorry, can you ask your question one more time?
With the spotlight, some people are thrusted into it. Some people gravitate towards it. At what part did you realize, okay, I have been given a gift?
Gotcha. At what point, growing up in the spotlight, but also growing up with the family that I did, I never had the opportunity to kind of play the background. I was always put in that leadership role. And so whether it was school being on a leadership team in the band, whatever that looked like, whether it was basketball team being team captain, I was always placed in those positions. So when it came to singing, I didn't think I could sing. I was always super shy. My mom would put me in front of people to sing, or I would be in a talent show or singing the national anthem at my siblings' basketball games. But I was always super self-conscious and very aware of just how shy I was in almost the stage fright aspect. So it wasn't until, it wasn't until 2006 when I became a believer that it kind of started clicking for me and realizing, man, this is kind of who God has wired me to be. And I like doing it. I like worship music in this aspect, and I'm good at it. And probably a year or two into becoming a believer, I was leading worship at a church in Lexington, and this lady came to the stage and brought me off the stage, and she was like, hey, I really need you to meet my mom. And so I go down and I meet her mom and introduce myself and everything, and she walks me through, the mother walks me through the fact of that she's not like church for a long time for the music and the sound and the way that things are changing, and it's too loud and it's too this and too flashy. And she said, but there's something about when you walked on the stage and started singing, I felt such at peace, and I felt and saw the voice of God. And so I was like, all right. So this is something. So it was the first time that it was something for me of like, man, what I do and who I am and what I bring to the table can shift and shape some hearts and minds for Jesus.
That's good, man. You know, we work a lot with athletes and coaches, and athletes when they grow up with their giftedness as far as being an athlete, they're getting recruited at different places. And an athlete is going to go where they feel like the coach or the university is, well, now with NIL and what they're going to get paid and this and that. But it often relates around who's going to develop the gift that I have, who is going to take me to a place where I desire to go, and who truly cares for me. It's the same thing with the gift of singing and songwriting and performing. Okay, so you have this gift. You go, high school, there in Lexington. Tell me how someone wants to sharpen the gift of singing and this and that. What did that look like for you?
Man, it looked like every opportunity I got, I would take. Whether it was singing at an elementary school, whether it was singing at a nursing home, whether it was singing at a church, whether it was singing at a bar mitzvah or at a bar. I was in a cover band for 7 years. And so people talk about the training that they had. I didn't have any formal training with theater or singing, but I got my training from singing 3 nights a week at a bar with a cover band for 7 years. And I was 4 hours a night. And that was just training the vocal cords and also realizing, man, how do you sing for 4 hours and not get hoarse? How do you sing for 4 hours and then have to sing the next day for 4 hours and then have to wake up and sing 4 services on Sunday morning and then 1 service Sunday night and then still be able to be back and teach at a school Monday morning or go to work on a Monday morning? And so it's all of these things of figuring out your tool, your gift, and how to hone that in. And for me, it was by doing the thing. It was taking all the opportunities that I was given and all the opportunities that were presented to me, and sometimes even making my own opportunities. And then from there, not only honing the skills there, but then also asking people, see who's in the business, see who's in the industry doing the thing. And then is figuring out, man, what steps are they using? Obviously, my story is unique to myself, but knowing and understanding, man, there are lessons that people have taken. There are people that have shown other people the way. So like, cool. How can I make sure that I am doing the thing that I need to do? So God has got me God has given me a natural talent. He's gotten me in the door. Now, what can I do to hone that skill and to keep me there?
Yeah, there's so much you just said that I can feel like I can relate with a lot, just with FCA and speaking at different groups. I've often used the phrase that there's no stages too big and there's no stages too low. There's nothing that's too high and there's nothing that's too low. Whether that's an FCA group of 6 or whether that's speaking at someone that's 60,000, it doesn't really change what you do. You still use the gift that God has given you to do that, and you're faithful. You're faithful with the little, and God will entrust you with much. I've watched that with you as well. I've always viewed you as a big dreamer. You dream big dreams. And there's a quote that said, big dreams are the magic that stirs men's souls to greatness. That it's those dreams and dreaming. Did you dream of the things you're doing now when you were younger?
Short answer, yes. Not in the manner in which I'm doing them, but I remember watching the VMAs. I remember growing up with 5 sisters and watching New Edition, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, Michael Jackson, and watching them do the things that they were doing, Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, like all of these things, and be like, man, I would love to do this. I would love to be a performer, but I wasn't thinking, oh man, I could do that. I didn't think I had the skill to do that. But then it was also, as I continue to move forward in my life and like watch different things, a lot of people don't know this, but I love the group Casting Crowns. And everyone's like, where'd that come from? That's like old school or like,
it is.
But when I first became a believer, the beautiful part that I loved about them was they toured around the country Monday through Saturday, and then they made it home to serve at their church Sunday morning. And I was like, man, I would love it. Like, why can't I just like live my life Monday through Saturday, don't have to take a paycheck from the church, and then I could just be serving my church Sunday morning. And that was always something that I said that I loved. I put it in the back of my mind, but never even thought of it. And then what I realized was like, God took that vision, took that dream, took that desire, and he morphed it into a whole different thing for me, to where like I get to travel around the country and I get to be a part of the Big C Church. And whether I'm at my home church in Northeast or whether I'm in Tucson, Arizona at my buddy's church, Pantano in Tucson, I get to lead worship, but I get to be a part of the church. And so those are the things that like I dreamed about, but I didn't realize were huge dreams that actually could come true.
You know, when people say, that you're doing this, and we're going to get to some of those here shortly, but, Darian's doing this, and, I never seem shocked. It's never like there's nothing that you've done or that I've watched you do to this point, or I think probably will ever do, that's a shock to me. I guess the question that a lot of people would want to know, I think I know the answer to this, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Do you ever still get nervous?
1,000%.
What's that? What does that look like? What does a nervous feeling look like for somebody that's done it a gazillion times?
Man, it's different for every opportunity. I used to say I'm not a public speaker. And one of the things is between my buddy Glenn Lundy making me talk everywhere and like putting me in front of people to talk, and you saying, cool, you don't like to public speak? I need you to lead this FCA event. I'm like, come on, Chris, what are you talking about? Yeah. It's having people that see something inside of you and then pushing you to that, but also realizing, man, it's okay to be nervous, and that means a lot of things. But the biggest thing is, one, that means that I have a pulse and that I have a heartbeat and that God has given me this ability to still feel. Two, it means that I'm passionate and I care about what I'm doing, because it's moved from hey, I'm nervous because I'm a people pleaser and I want people to like me, to like, hey, I want to make sure that I'm being the best steward with the time and the gift and the resource that I have. And so the biggest shift for me happened once I I started doing theater, and my friend pulled me aside, Katrin Thali, and she's a beautiful believer. She lives in DC now, and she was a singer with me, and we started some things together, but she pulled me aside and she said, I just want you to know your light is so big and the rooms that you go into are going to be so blessed by you. But the biggest thing for you is, as you walk into a room, you need to understand and recognize that you're not walking into a room with arrogance. You're walking in authorized by God. He's placed you in that room at that season, at that time, to do that thing. And even though there are people that may be able to speak better than you, maybe more eloquent than you, may have more, be more articulate or have more talent than you, in that season, in that moment, in that time frame, God has placed you in the aspect to speak and to do the thing that he's called you to. So it's like, hey, Chris asked me to go speak for the baseball team. Cool, I can go do chapel for the baseball team. Man, do I love Chris? Do I love what he does? Do I love how he loves Jesus, how he brings people to the table and the feet of Jesus so that they can hear him? Yes, I do. I love that. But if Chris is asking me to speak, or Chris is in the room, or I'm with Chris and he is, and I'm speaking on something, or I'm doing a Bible study, guess what? God is using me in that moment. And I love the fact that like you're one of those people that you're like, cool, I'll take a back seat. I don't have to be the spokesperson. I don't have to be the head person, but Darian's authorized right now to speak on that and speak in that frame.
Yeah, there's a lot on that. And I don't really have notes that I like to talk to hit on, but just some of the things just catapult you to another thing. You know, when you said that a steward of your time, it's taken me a long time to really understand that I don't always have to say yes to seize opportunities. Sometimes my answer should be no, to give other people an opportunity to say yes at that. And so to steward your time, you get asked to do a lot of things. And so to make a good use of your time is sometimes saying no to good things is actually saying yes to some better things.
1,000%. 1,000%. And no is a complete sentence. And you don't need an explanation by it. But people see the gift, they love the gift, they appreciate the gift. And so because of that, they are asking because they honor you and they honor the gift. But that doesn't mean your no means that you are not about them, not about their activity, not about their event. It's just sometimes you have to protect your peace. Sometimes you have to protect your family. Sometimes you have to protect you. Yeah. Sometimes you can run yourself ragged by saying yes, that you don't allow for when God needs you to say yes, you to be in a strong moment and a strong stance.
But even if you don't, I mean, and I'm coming to even to grips with that, even if I don't have anything else going on, like even if I just don't want to. And that's not like a negative thing. Like, yes, you want to use your gift. You have a gift. But there's also a time where you're not in it, and you have to be a good steward of that and let your mind rest, let your body rest, let your voice rest, and saying no, because I think people sometimes, you said yes to a lot of things, whether that's the six people that you sang to, or whether it's a small group that you go to. And you want to be faithful and seize opportunities, but at some point you don't want to feel like you're being taken advantage of. And that gift can fall upon unfertile soil, and you don't want that. You want to bring a return on your investment. So, I've watched your life for a while, man. I've gotten to be close with you. You've served faithfully at mega churches in Lexington, in Louisville. Still go to a great church at Northeast, and you've been faithful. When you came to help, and still help, with University of Louisville, FCA, the thing that I look for is, can people be faithful right where they're at? Can they add value? Can they bring something to the team? And you worked with FCA for a while, and I love the time that we had with you. What's some things that you look back on FCA and are just like, man, that was just a great season. I really enjoyed being part of this?
There's not small or few things. I will say that I loved every moment about it. At the time in the season that I was there so regularly, I thrived, and I feel like it fed my soul in so many different ways, because I'd missed serving in student ministry, because I'd served for 10 years in Lexington in student ministry. So when I moved to just the full-time worship pastor aspect, I didn't get that personal connection with, developing and pouring into the younger generation. So I think that it fed my soul in that way, and it allowed me to use my gifts in that way. I think the staff, the beautiful part about the faithfulness of the staff, and seeing how, man, they are doing the real life thing, and watching them love their family well, serving the church, the local church, but then also serving this body of believers and non-believers in this community, and being consistent, watching how students and coaches saw the consistency, and then watching that reputation of Jesus be exemplified even more because of that consistency. And it wasn't a, hey, let's smack people in the head and in the face with the Bible, or Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. It was, man, we're going to be the hands and feet of Jesus, not because we want to try to convince somebody to follow Jesus, but we want to be the hands and feet of Jesus because that's what we're called to do, and that's who we're called to be. And then watching from that, see Jesus take hold of people's hearts and maneuver and change that. And then I would say maybe the biggest thing is the community aspect. It's been a beautiful thing to watch, not only when high schoolers come to look at the University of Louisville and watch how faithful the coaches and the players and the community's like, hey, let me introduce you to FCA and what they do before you get here, and seeing the families latch on and know and understand, man, hey, they're going to be grounded and rooted with solid community, strong people, believers, whether they're in athletics or not, because it's not just athletics, because there's been some non-athletic people that come to FCA, which I love and believe. It's the community aspect that people gravitate to. So watching high schoolers come into the University of Louisville and be like, oh man, my family, my parents, me, I can see myself here because of the community. Then watching them come here and then seeing the consistency of saying, man, you are what you said you are. And even more so because I'm here and I'm enthroned into the trenches of life, whether school, work, sports, I still know that consistently I can have that Monday night. I can have that Bible study with the team. I can have the outside, at Wagner's,
That's right.
Those things. It's the consistency. I know I can call or text and people will show up for me. And then on the flip side, then you watch those people go and either do major league things or they go and do full-time work things with family, and they're still connected. They still have that community. Yeah. It's cool to go to a basketball game or a football game or a baseball game and sing and know, man, I remember when you were at FCA with me in this Bible study, this huddle, and then now you're on this field and doing this thing professionally. Man, it's great to see the seeds that were sown in this season be fruitful in this season, because now you're doing this Bible study with this major league crew over here. And it's like, man, watching that seed flourish into a beautiful flower, rose tree, whatever you want to call it. It's good to see that fruitfulness.
Yeah, and I love seeing whether it's a Jack Perkins, posting something, and seeing, pictures of you doing his wedding, and whether that be Asia Dur, reaching out to you or whatever, it could be any sports, but I know those sports, I can see where you've left your fingerprints and you were part of that community, and for me to be able to see that as someone that's been here for a long time. To watch giving ministry to other people who can affect the campus, and just seeing true growth. And I've been doing it a while. So now, so long that I had a father that played football here. I've been here long enough where now I have sons of the parents that I discipled.
Consistent. That's what you meant.
Yeah. So that's a blessing to be able to do that. Okay, so you talked about earlier about just your growing up in your faith. I'd like to just kind of touch a little bit on your faith. For us that were raised in a Christian home, it's easy to kind of piggyback off your mom and dad's faith, that it becomes this person that was really, I don't want to say pushed on you, but, it was their faith. It was my mom and dad's faith. And it was just something that my mom and dad did. When did you realize, okay, this is something that I need to make a decision for myself? It's not my mom, it's not my dad. When did Jesus really become Lord of Darien Sanders' life?
I'm going to take two parts in this real quick. First, I was watching a podcast of somebody, I can't remember who it is, so I'm not going to quote them, or I'm not going to say who it was from. But he said something about somebody raising their kids in a Christian household and pushing your faith on your kids. And they said, the world's going to push everything else on your kid. So why would I not set them up for success and push Jesus on them? And not push on them in terms of like you have to do this, but I'm going to present and I'm going to talk about, and we're going to exemplify and show those things. So like, first and foremost, I don't think it's a bad thing. I'm like, cool. I grew up in a Christian household. It was the foundational building blocks of where I am now. I also love the fact of the matter that I can hear in old school songs that I heard on the radio, or that I heard my mom singing. And it can always bring me back to this, like, man, I remember. Same thing. Richard Smallwood passes away and everyone starts to sing. And it was like, man, everyone remembers where they were when they first heard the song. Everybody has their own feeling and emotion and thought. It's the same thing with Lion King. When you hear Circle of Life, it's like, oh man, it takes me back to 1994 when I first saw the movie. Yeah. And so I think the foundational aspect of Jesus in my household was monumental, and I don't shortchange that, and I'm grateful for it. When I was in high school, I was a junior in high school, and my friend Danielle, who was a solid believer, we lived right down the street from each other. She said, Darian, who's your church covering? And I was like, what? What are you talking about? She was like, your church covering. Who's your church covering? I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. She was like, the people that pray for you, lift you up, pull you out of the trenches, smack you down, all the things. I'm like, I don't know what you're like. Shut up. Leave me alone. So she tried to pull me into the church and pull me into Jesus. And I was like, I'm not about this life. Like, let it be. And it wasn't until I got to college and got into a Bible study that then introduced me to, like, hey, this is what daily walking with Jesus looks like. It's not a like genie that you're rubbing on a lamp. It's not a, hey, I have to sit down for 6 hours in this quiet little corner in this closet with all these prayers against the wall and I have to sit and it's not sitting in a coffee shop and saying I have to do this. It's having a personal relationship. And it was somebody showing, excuse me, it was somebody showing me, man, this is what it looks like to walk with Jesus hand in hand. that was my age that was doing the thing. It wasn't somebody that was older than me saying, well, when I was younger, I wish I would have done this. And so that's what started the process for me. Seeing guys in college walking out their faith. And then they invited me to Passion Conference. And then I go to Passion Conference and I'm sitting up in the balcony, when I tell you I was in the last of the last rows, like my back was against the arena wall. And I mean, every other session, we were fighting to be front row just because it was like, oh, we're going to be front row, Jesus. Ah!
Yeah.
But when I tell you I was in the back row, the very back, and God got a hold of me. Louis Giglio was preaching on Colossians 3:17, and whatever you do, whether in word or deed, do it for the glory of God. And I was like, man, so I could be a band director. I could be a singer. I could be an athlete. Man, I could be a worship pastor. It doesn't matter what you do. Just make sure God's getting the glory and the honor for it. Like, realize who the gift giver is, and then make sure that you're always acknowledging him and understanding what you do and how you are doing that is only because of him. Cool. It doesn't have to be some elaborate, like, I'm going to put Jesus on my jeans that I make, or I have to do this post or do this. It's being the hands and feet of Jesus and living for him. And so that's what started the shift for me. And so once that happened, that was literally January of 2020 or 2006. Wow. Almost 20 years. Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Years go quick.
Yeah. Man. And so then April 10th, 2006, that's when I got baptized.
Man, I'm so glad you said that, because a lot of times people say that when you're, I'm in ministry, that automatically assumes like, okay, so you're going to be a pastor, a teacher, or a college age director or a student. I am so glad that there are Christian businessmen, that there are Christian performers, that there are Christian coaches. Because we want to take that message out. Now there's a time, and I'm glad that there's a time where we can go and we can worship the Lord together at fellowship, and we can sing and we can have the proclamation of God's word. But I'm glad that we leave. I'm glad we leave church. I'm glad that we go and we go out into a world and be real individuals. I'm not talking about weird people. I'm talking about people where it affects your life. And so one of the greatest titles that you have, I know you know this, is a husband. And you are on a platform. You've been given a platform. And you know this. But behind every person, or beside someone that really doesn't get the video or the onstage presence, is a wife, is a spouse that really is the backbone of the home.
Yeah.
And you have that in Jess. Tell me about your bride, man. Just give her the flowers she deserves, man. Tell me how you all met, and kind of like, what has marriage taught you?
Man, she is utterly amazing. When I tell you her heart, her beauty, obviously, but her heart is just golden. I've realized and understand I'm able to do all the things that I can do because she's uniquely her. She has positioned me and allowed me to be so just so candidly amazing, because she is. When I tell you her just desire for the Lord, to love him and to seek him, is refreshing. It's inspiring for me. It challenges me because it allows me and makes me know and understand, like, man, if I am not seeking him, like, she gonna know.
Oh yes.
It's beautiful, because everything we do is bathed in that aspect. And the way that she allows me to lead is a beautiful thing, because one of her most challenging things that she says to me is like, man, did you go to Jesus for it? Did you go to God? Cool. If you did, I'm good with whatever your decision is. Like, as long as you processed it with him, you got to hold, like, you got that. So it started out as a whirlwind. I was actually taking some students to the Passion Conference, and a friend of mine asked me if I would like to go on a blind date. And I was like, leave me alone. And she bugged me so much that finally I asked Jess out. And man, we went out on a Monday, and that Friday I told my buddy, I was like, one of the groomsmen in our wedding, I was like, hey, I'm going to marry this girl. And he's like, whoa, you haven't dated anybody for 7 years. And all of a sudden this girl comes out of nowhere. And I'm like, yeah, but she's the real deal. The conversations and the intentionality that we had in that first week of talking, not even dating, of just talking, was so refreshing and so beautiful. The mind that she had and the heart that she had to back it up was consistent. And the conversation was just real and refreshing. And then from there, man, I fell more and more in love with her. Just the fact that she is my biggest cheerleader. She's my most biggest encourager. But also she's the first one to smack me down and keep me humble and like, babe, get your life together. But also like in those moments and times that I'm nervous, she was like, come on now, what you got to be nervous for? Like, the aspect of Jesus, but also the aspect of like the talent and who I am, and speaking to me as a husband, speaking to me as a dad, speaking to me as a man. She does such a phenomenal job of encouraging me.
Yeah. The Bible talks about, a wife of noble character is her husband's crown. So to hear you give Jess the flowers that she deserves and the praise that she's worthy of.
Yeah.
And for someone to be able to encourage you and speak truth, there's countless times that I have asked Tammy to pray over me. I need you to pray over me because I'm feeling anxiety. I'm feeling nervous. I'm feeling wore down. I'm feeling tired. And for her to speak life into me and pray over me and bring the things to the remembrance of what God has called me to do, that's worth gold. There's nothing. It's I don't have the right words to say of what a wife that supports her husband in times of need. There's nothing better than that. It's a gift. I can see why God says that she is a gift to you. So, you all have, you guys have done great things together. And, I know it goes without saying, but when you're on a stage performing, it's you both. It's both of you. It's that you all now become one, and it's just as much her sacrificing and giving up for you to be able to use your gift. So, and now you have an incredible blessing, Titus. He's a intelligent young man that has an incredible imagination, has a credible gift as his. But where so many people see this Simba and this. Man, to him, you're your dad, man, and that's a great thing. Tell us about what it's like to be a dad.
Man, as you know, it's amazing. It's rewarding. It's fulfilling. It's challenging. It's one of the. I know not everyone is blessed to have a child, but for me, it's one of the real ways that I see God working in God's hand. Because a lot of the lessons that I'm trying to teach Titus, God's smacking me around and using him to teach me as well. So that's been a humbling realization for me as, past 8 years as I'm teaching him, as I'm speaking into life and doing all these things, walking hand in hand with him. It's like, man, I say something and then God's like, excuse me, I've been trying to tell you that for a while. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. But man, it is such a blessing because he is so perfectly him, and I wouldn't want it any other way. And I was leading worship at a church down in Knoxville a couple weeks ago, and they were praying over me and praying over Jess, and we were battling some health stuff with her. And so just with me being a performer and battling health stuff with her, they didn't say anything about him. They prayed for our family. And so afterwards, Jess and I were talking. We said, hey, buddy, we want you to know that like mommy's like journey and daddy's journey are never going to outshine and outweigh your journey. Like God's got something special and unique and beautiful and mighty that he's going to do in and through you. And so making sure that we're always encouraging him and letting him know that he has his own path, that he can do and choose whatever he wants to do. And he's doing that. Right now he is, testing for his black belt, which is absolutely amazing. And Jessica's dad did taekwondo. I did taekwondo. So like he chose that he wanted to do taekwondo. So he was like, all right, if this is what you want to do, let's do it. You know, he wants to do basketball now. Like I've sang at a couple NBA games. And so he's gone, and we've had some friends who have little kids that have done basketball. So like he's watched them. And so now he's like, Dad, I think I want to play basketball. I'm like, okay. So we went and got him, you know, cones and balls and all the things. And it's like, hey, if you want to do it, like, let's do it. But like, if you don't want to do it, I'm not going to force you to do it. And so everyone's like, hey, does he want to do theater? Does he want to do dance? Does he want to do music? Whatever he wants to do, I'm going to let him do. And then we're going to hone that in. And once that decision's made, like taekwondo, we're going to go to the end. You're not going to bail out. But once we finish, we can move on to something else, or we can maybe do multiple things, but it's not going to be hey, let's start this and then stop. Hey, let's start this and then stop. No, if we're going to be a man of our word, if we say we're going to do it, let's do it and do it well. And then also he's just taught me what it means to fully love and be transparent without any like reservations and hesitations. Excuse me. I have a loving family, loving parents. My dad wasn't super affectionate with me. And so I think as a young man, I crave that. And as an adult, I crave that. And so now seeing and shaping him into wanting to be a strong man for God, it's like walking and understanding, hey, buddy, like emotions are real. We don't shy away from them. It's okay to cry. It's okay to talk about your feelings. It's okay to talk about all the things because this is a safe place. So we talk about all the things and we are open book and we allow that conversation to happen. I'm still the parent, don't get me wrong. Like, but there are moments and times that I definitely have to say that we're stopping this and let's stop. However, 9 times out of 10, you have the floor. If you have something you need to share and say, I will listen out 1,000%. And once I hear it, once I process it, we can talk about it. It may not change the outcome in the decision, but you have a voice and you can be heard. And then we've walked through that. And so it's just different. Jess was raised differently than I was. And so like we're walking through parenting and how that looks and figuring that out together. But we've made a decision for us and our family. This is the way we're going to parent. This is the way we want to raise our child or children. And the reality is like, hey, because of that, how I talk to you, how I speak to you, but also how I let you carry yourself is going to make a huge difference when you go out in public. And so then he goes out in public and everyone's like, man, he's one of the most well-spoken children, like orders for himself, all these things. He's looking people in the eye. He's having conversations. He's holding doors. I'm like, that doesn't just come by chance. Those are things that we are teaching him and wanting to instill in him. And we put him around great people. We want to make sure that he is not just being influenced by mom and dad, but the people that he is being influenced by love Jesus, have a heart of gold, and then also are excellent at what they do, which is living life in the manner that God has created them to, so that he can see that in different avenues.
That's good. Great responses on that. Parenting is the most rewarding thing that could possibly be, but it's also the most humbling too. When you see little versions of ourselves walking around. But I love watching parents shape, mold, shepherd their children's heart, especially the way you just explained. That it's a safe spot. It's a place where, I'm glad that my mom and dad just didn't throw me out first mistake I made or the second mistake, a third or fourth. It was a training, and it's still a training with my children being 22, 20, and 14. And so it's a great thing. With sports, as we get ready to kind of wind home on this, with sports, with football, you got the Super Bowl. With baseball, you got the World Series. Basketball, March Madness. You got a lot of different things. In singing, when you get Broadway, that's people talk about that. That's if not the pinnacle, it's one of the pinnacles. And so you get. I remember being in my living room when you approached me and you said, "Hey, this is what," thinking, with the line, walk us through what it's like when you get a call to perform on Broadway.
Yeah. Man, it happened in 2019. I was performing in regional theater things, serving in the church locally. But man, that call came in and it was a wow factor. It was an exciting moment. I had wanted to start doing something like that. And so once I decided that, hey, this is where the direction that we're going, and we discussed it and processed it as a family, it was like, man, this could be a reality. Then it started to become more real. But when the call came in, it was like, oh wow, this is like really, really happening. And so a lot of people think, man, a lot of people have taken it in a lot of different ways in terms of like, hey, you're leaving the church and you're doing this, or hey, the theater world really needs you because, there's no Jesus in the theater world. And so it's a really cool thing for me to look at and see and understand, man, I was a part of church that, 40,000 people, 600 staff. What are the other 39,400 people going to do? They come to church and gather, and then Monday morning they go to work. I was one of those people now going to work. And so what I did in the workplace, excuse me, what I did in the workplace, in the theater place, reflected the things that I learned and know about and who I am. And so that call was exciting. That call was amazing, but it also was like, man, that call is like, I get to go to work now. I get to go be the hands and feet of Jesus. When I got ordained, I actually got ordained the April before I got the call for Lion King.
I was there.
I know. I love it. And for me, it was one of the things that I talked about uniquely being somebody that's positioned to be outside the four walls of the church. And I talked about going outside the four walls of the church. I hadn't planned or journeyed to even think about doing Broadway because at that time I had put that to side and I was running full bore in ministry. And it was 2 years after that, or 2 years after I auditioned, that the Lion King called. So it was in God's plan that I was even doing that because I wasn't even thinking about theater. So it came out of nowhere. But the cool part about all of that was, man, now I can see on the backside of things of where the dream came from as a kid to then having the full-time dream, in 2017 when I auditioned for Lion King, to then making that decision to be the hands and feet and go outside the walls of the church in 2019 of April, to then getting the call and doing the Lion King in September. And it was like, man, God had orchestrated all these different pieces and different parts to allow that call to come in. And when I got that call, I was like, cool, let's go to work. Let's make that happen. And so then it was getting to this moment and getting to this part and thinking, man, as I'm doing this, how can I give God glory? But also like, how can I enjoy the journey and the path? And that's part of the reality of like, so many people think, man, because I'm not doing ministry full time, like I can't say I'm doing this. I'm still in ministry full time. I'm an ordained pastor. And even if I wasn't an ordained pastor, I'm still doing ministry full time. It's just different that I'm not vocationally doing it in the church. I'm doing it outside the walls of the church, but while also still serving in the church, because when I'm home, when I'm around, I still serve in my local church. I still serve in the body, or I attend church. And so it's a full spectrum, but the call was amazing.
Yeah. A couple more. When I remember just a couple teams that I've had a chance, because you don't really get caught up in a moment till kind of like it's after it's done.
Yeah.
And like, so whether you speak to a team or whether you meet this individual or whatever, you still do what God has called you to do. But then when you leave, you're like, wow, I just got an opportunity to do this. It throws you back. And very seldom do I feel like I get starstruck, but when I walk away, I'm like, wow, that was awesome. Has there been, you're blessed to be able to sing some national anthems at different venues and meet certain people. Have you ever been starstruck? You're like, oh man, I just met such and such, or I just did this. Have you had any of those?
I mean, there's always cool moments, cool things. I don't know that I really have. And And that's not to say like, I mean, I've met some incredible people, done some incredible things, but I also know and look at when you think about a star or when you think about a celebrity, you know, the biggest question that I get asked in schools is, hey, who's the most famous person you've ever met? And it's a complicated thing because to an elementary school kid, their teacher's the most famous person and they're a celebrity, or a news anchor, or then you keep going, a college athlete, or you keep going, a professional athlete, or you just start going up and up and up. And so it kind of shifts the tier. But once you realize and understand, I used to admire Chris Morgan so much. And then I met Chris Morgan. I was like, dope. He's a normal dude, just like you and I. But the thing is, like, God's gifted him, and I'm not knocking the gift. The gift is amazing. And we celebrate that gift, but I also celebrate the fact of the matter that he's a normal dude. I can come and just talk with him and live life. Same thing. I'm sitting with Tom Cruise. And when I tell you, like, we're shooting this film, we're talking back and forth. As we're talking, he has to go off and like shoot the film, and then he comes back and then he still has the same conversation. Okay, so I had to get up and do this. But you were talking about Jess and Titus. Like, I went to Trinity, blah, blah, blah. Like, he's like, my mom does this. Like, it was so personable and so real. The same way with Jennifer Hudson or Vivica Fox, or like all these different people that I've met and done these things with. It's cool to know, like, man, I love the things that you guys have done. I love where you guys have reached, but also I love that I can just shoot the breeze with y'all. I love that we can just sit and have conversations, or I can say, hey, I'm going to the Lakers game. I'm singing this week. What are you doing? I know you're in LA. You free to go? Like, cool. Come to the Lakers game with me. Like, that's also cool. Or like, hey, I'm in New York doing this show, or hey, I'm passing through New York. Let's meet up for coffee, or let's go get some food. Cool. So it's the yes, there's this awestruck, starstruck stardom thing, but it's also like, I don't think that I've ever been engulfed by it. There's the unique, oh, this is cool because I met this person, but I've not been like, oh my gosh.
And that person just is like you said, that person is real just like everybody.
Yeah.
That's so good. Yeah. All right. Well, I know you're also, to add to your plethora of things that you do, you're also an author, and you've written a book. Tell us a little bit about that book and where people can get this book at.
Yeah, it's called Don't Fear Your Roar. It's actually really cool because February 8th, it officially comes out in Barnes & Noble, Target, Walmart, all these amazing places. I'm working on the Audible book right now, the ebook, but they can get it on Amazon. They can get it on my website, DarienSanders.com, or they can check out my Instagram, _DarienSanders_. They can get it there. And then also we are working on getting the funding for the adaptation of the movie. That's going to be working on that as well. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah,
always something exciting with you, man. If people are listening, get that book, read that book. Anything that Darian's a part of is going to be good. It's going to be done right. It's going to be excellent. Man, I love you. It's a joy to call you friend. It's a joy to watch what God is doing in and through you. To watch you be a godly husband and to love your wife. To me, that's tops. When I see a man that has so much stuff going on and he loves and he adores his wife, then that gets me. And to be dad, and you're that to Titus, and man, just love you. Appreciate you coming on. Let me pray for us and we'll bounce out. Yeah, Father, I thank you for who you are. God, I'm thankful for you being the gift giver. And Lord, I'm thankful for the gift that you have given Darian. God, I pray that he'll continue to steward that gift, to invest that gift. And Father, I know that it's going to bring a return. So whether that's singing, whether that's songwriting, whether that's authoring, whether that's speaking, Lord, there's many seeds that will be thrown out. And Lord, I pray that it will take root and that it will bear much fruit. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Appreciate you, brother.
Love you, my man.
That's it.
There it is.
I'm glad it don't come with notes, man.